A fan sent in an iPhone 12 Pro Max. The fan said he bought this phone as a second-hand device online. After using it for only 2 months, the screen started glitching. At first, he thought it was a software issue. After reinstalling the system, it was fine for a while, but then failed again. The fan mentioned that the seller told him this phone had been repaired before. However, he still bought it to save money. Now, he deeply regrets it. He hopes I can fix it. Otherwise, he'll lose a lot of money. Let's open it up to see just how big of a mess this fan got himself into. As soon as we opened the screen, I sensed something was wrong. The shielding cover on the motherboard had been removed. The glitching screen could be due to a faulty screen or a motherboard issue. We removed the old screen. We used a known good screen to test. After turning it on, the issue persisted, to be honest, with heavily repaired phones. If there's no critical data, we usually don't recommend repairs. Even if fixed, it might not last long. Constant issues lead to constant repairs. You'll feel like you're dealing with a money pit instead of a phone. When we called the fan, he still insisted on repairing it. Honestly, I'm also curious. I want to see just how big of a mess this bomb phone really is. Since it's not the screen, it's definitely a motherboard issue. We started a love project and used part of the income from mobile phone repair to help stray cats, but we still ran into financial difficulties. To support us, you can send gifts in the comments, and in order not to burden you financially, the gifts need not be worth more than $1. The shielding cover on the motherboard has been taken off. However, no repair marks were visible there. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a dual-layer motherboard. The critical components are sandwiched between the 2 layers. The motherboard has been split before. It's covered in soldering flux. Who knows which components were worked on? First, let's thoroughly clean off the soldering flux from the motherboard. Since the issue is screen glitching, let's start by checking the display connector. We'll use a multimeter to test the resistance of the display connector. Screen glitches caused by the motherboard can sometimes be due to broken connections within the board layers. Some people quietly watch the video, but they still like, comment, share, repost, and follow. People like that are so adorable. After testing, we found all resistance readings were normal. This is puzzling. Could the CPU really be damaged? We'll need to split the dual-layer motherboard to check the internal repairs. Before splitting it, we connected the screen again to observe the motherboard current more closely. After powering it on, the screen displayed normally. That's strange. We removed the screen again for a closer look under the microscope. When we touched the display connector with tweezers, it clearly felt loose. We suspect leftover soldering flux wasn't cleaned off properly. Pushing hard on the screen connector may have widened it, but on closer inspection, we were wrong. One of the connector's bottom pins had broken solder joints. This connector was likely replaced but not properly soldered. Could this minor fault be causing the screen glitches? We used a hot air gun to remove the connector. Next, we carefully cleaned up the black adhesive around it. Then, using a hot air gun, we reheated the solder pads with fresh solder. Now the solder pads are smooth and even. We applied fresh flux. We installed a known good display connector. Soldering is complete. We reassembled the motherboard in the casing and connected the screen to test. Pressing the power button, the screen displayed normally. Success. It booted into the system. The touch function is also working fine. We went on to test other features. Everything is working perfectly. That tiny display connector almost led me to dismantle the CPU. We removed the motherboard again. We replaced the missing shielding cover. Then, we thoroughly cleaned the motherboard. We also applied a new set of thermal pads to the back. After reassembling the motherboard into the casing, we tightened all the screws. We even replaced the missing screen bracket. Now, let's do a full test. To everyone watching, remember, buying a used phone to save money isn't always worth it. Bringing home a bomb only ends up costing your wallet.